Carl Frampton indirectly telling on himself why he was so petrified of Guillermo Rigondeaux. Like several times, like we're in the third round, he's been asking why Jason Cunningham has took this fight with ZOLANI Tete. Now, Tete was 14 first round stoppages in 22 knockouts. It's very impressive, but why do you keep mentioning that he didn't need to take this fight? Frampton saying there's easier ways to get in position to fight for a world title than this. He took this fight because he wants to see how good he is. Great jab by Tete though. He landed a similar one in the first. Imagine catching a jab like that and you haven't even took a full-blooded left hand, because Tete's a southpaw. There's that jab again. 72-inch reach for a super bantamweight as well. Oh, he's controlling Cunningham behind the jab. The class is showing up here. It's showing up a bit here. Cunningham looks like he's gone into survival mode. There's that backhand by Tete. Didn't land too clean, I'm assuming. Well, this fight is already showing us that there's a big, big gap between the Jason Cunninghams and the John Real Casemiros. What a jab that is. Beautiful jab. Fourth round, I missed the knockout punch. I had to go back and look at the replay. It was a left cross, very Thomas Hearns-like. Like he shelled up with the right hand and then came back with the left cross. And Cunningham did well to get back up from that. And Tete, he flattened him with the follow-up. Looked like the back of his head bounced off the canvas. Quite a brutal finish. They need to get the oxygen out for Jason Cunningham. Yes, it was a gap too far for Jason Cunningham. But this is what happens when you get ranked. You've got to fight the top contenders. Some people will probably be thinking that Carl Frampton was justified in questioning why they would give him this fight. But they were trying to get him to a world title. And the likes of ZOLANI Tete is someone he would have to face eventually. Super Bantam is a tough, tough division. Tete is an exceptional puncher. He is an exceptional puncher, no doubt. An exceptional talent, actually. But, you know, we're talking about Stephen Fulton and Akhmadaliev. These are top-level performers. And, you know, there's other guys. Luis Neri, Brandon Figueroa. These are good fighters. Kameda, you know. Jason was ranked number 6 with the IBF, number 13 with the WBO, number 14 with the WBC, and he was trying to move up in the world. That's what boxers do. Now we see what McGuigan and Frampton were doing, why they avoided Rigondeaux religiously almost. Now you see the realities of pro boxing. Carl Frampton told on himself. Yeah, it was a brutal finish though. And there is a big gap between Commonwealth and IBF International and a former 2-time world champion. Big gap. Big gap. But boxers have to dream that they can transition from domestic level to world level. You got to dream. Now, where does Jason Cunningham go from here? I don't know. I don't think there'd be no hurry to put him in this level anytime soon. No. He was outclassed in there. Like, that jab, that was one of the best jabs I've seen in a British ring in a minute. It was a really good jab, man. Beautiful to watch. Beautiful jab. And I was thinking from the first round, imagine that, right? You go in there, and the opponent lands his jab, and you're like, bam, oh, shit. This is his jab. Your own strategy and game plan is already compromised from that. If they can do that with a jab, put that kind of trepidation in your head. I guess there is a little bit of irony that Super Bantamweight is the same division that Frampton, Quigg, Santa Cruz, Mares avoided Guillermo Rigondeaux like the plague. You see, ZOLANI Tete would have fought Rigondeaux. That's the difference between Frampton and ZOLANI. Joyce got caught early with a left hook, and it was about 2 or 3 right hooks, bang, on the target that Christian Hammer landed. Joe has got this iron chin. Well, lucky for him, because this guy's finding it too easy to land. We're in the second round now. Joe going to the body. He's got Hammer trapped on the ropes. That's a good idea to invest to the body. I don't think that 263 is going to sit very well on Hammer, although Joe is 265. I think he carries the weight a little better. He tried the overhand right, but he had his head down when he threw it, so basically relying on Joe to walk onto it. Joe invests into the body. It's a good idea. Working behind his jab. Decides to use his feet now and move away from the punches. That's much better, Joe. It's a better idea. It's a way better idea. Trust me. Joe a little rusty. He's coming back from the hand injury. I predicted a long fight here. Late rounds or maybe the distance. It's a 12-rounder. Joe was riding away from that right hand from Hammer. Doing better defensively. Hammer, I think, has shot his load. He went for it in the first round. And Joe obliged him with that horrible defense. Caught Joe again though. Right hand over the top. Joe's right hand is very undeveloped. He's better when he throws it to the body. But as a headshot, it's a very telegraphed shot that can be timed. And he got caught again by that left hook, you know. You can see even he's apprehensive to throw that right hand at times because he knows he can get countered by a left hook. It's so telegraphed a shot. I wonder if he's injured that arm before and it just can't get the trajectory correct on hooks and uppercuts. Joe won the round. It's a round apiece. He's still getting tagged. Perhaps he's struggling to get motivated after the Parker fight fell through. Whatever Ismail Salas told Joyce, it brought some laughter out of Joe. I wonder what he said. We're going into the third. One apiece is what I have it. I tell you what, man, that one went over Joyce's head. But he gives up his height a lot for them hooks. He really does. He plods in, very ungainly. He normally wears his man down. And as ungainly as he looks, when he wins, I guess it's all irrelevant. That was a good right hand by Joe. I don't think Christian Hammer liked it at all. He was gesturing to the referee about something. He's firing back with his own shots now. He can't get no respect from Joyce though. Joyce is pummeling him. Joe looking good here. Letting his hands go. Hammer trying that right hand over the top. He thinks he could get that bingo punch. Good right hand by Joe. Forces Hammer back. He needs to go back down to that body. Both men landed. He's just so square at times, Joe. He's managing to evade some of them shots. Got caught again though. A little short right as he followed Christian into the corner. Right, down goes Hammer. Is that a knockdown? Yep. He doesn't want it anymore. He's saying it was at the back of the head, but he doesn't want to fight no more. What is he complaining about? What was at the back of the head? Okay, the punch did drift round the back, but it didn't land solidly at all. Or maybe I didn't take it. It was a rabbit punch, though. It was a rabbit punch. It looked like he was going down before it even landed, though. Horrible opponent, to be honest. Like, he had a good first, but you see, he's trying all these, let's see if I can get Joe disqualified tactics, and Joe needs to get him out of there early, man. Needs to get him out of there early. We're in the fourth. Oh, body shot. Knocked the wind out of Hammer. I think that's over now. I think it's over now. That knocked the wind out of him. You can't say that was illegal. The right hand to the body, I believe. He doesn't want it no more. He's still trying to overhand right. He's complaining about rabbit punches, but he's getting pummeled. He's getting battered. Left hook puts him down again. You can just stop this one, man. Tries that right hand again. Why not, I guess. Off that left hook. That's done it. Left hook to the body. The body shots for Joyce have paid dividends. That's over. I guess a typical Joyce fight gets caught with some shots that he perhaps shouldn't get caught with. And then he throws these big, long shots that are not the most cultured punches and often don't look like they've landed clean, but the opponents just can't handle them. Just can't take Joe's shots. So he's got power there. Just because it doesn't look as clean as, let's say, an Anthony Joshua or Wilder or anything like that. I mean, that last two there, like, that right left, I mean, they didn't look like the most devastating punches at all. He was just looking for a way out. He was just looking for a way out of the paycheck. Frank Warren has to be challenged to get better opponents for his best fighters. He has to be challenged a little. Nobody wanted this fight. Nobody. In all truth, I thought it might have went a little longer, but this was never a good opponent for Joe Joyce. Never. Post-fight, Joyce said he's got the power and the chin to knock Usyk or Joshua out. That's possible. I don't see Joyce beating Joshua, Usyk, Fury, or Vladimir Klitschko. I know he's retired, right? I don't see him beating none of the top guys like that unless it's a come from behind victory and he grinds them down eventually. He'd been losing on points. Like, Joshua's hand speed and combination punching would be horrible for Joyce. It would be horrible. And it would be a case of Joshua perhaps throwing the fight away to lose to Joyce. To me, Joyce's punch variety is limited. It's very limited. His punch technique is limited. But he is powerful. He's determined, he's dogged, and he's got what looks like, I'm not sure how iron the chin is, to be honest. I'm not sure. I mean, post-fight, he said it himself. He'd prefer not to rely on his chin. He'd prefer to block, slip, and counter. But he doesn't have them options, and it doesn't matter how long Salas is going to train him, he's never going to be able to do that effectively. It's just not who he is. He just doesn't have the boxing IQ for that. Doesn't have the natural talent to make blocking, slipping, and countering an integral part of his game. He just doesn't have it. What he has is size, strength, power, and doggedness. And to me, when a fighter says, I've got the chin to beat the top guys, look, you need a good chin. Of course you need a good chin. But relying on your chin as like one of your tools or your weapons, nah, your chin is something you draw on when you need it. Yeah? It's something you draw on when you need it. When you're saying, I have tools to beat someone, I have the jab, I have the combination punching, I have the aggression, the speed, the footwork. All of which I mentioned there, you want to bring to the front of the battlefield to win. But the chin is something you want to draw on when you need it. You don't want to bring that up, yeah, go on, crack me because you can't hurt me. No, save all that for the Rocky films. Once you get tagged on the chin, all bets are off. Anything can happen. Even if you've got an iron chin, all bets are off. Because it's not supposed to be cracked like that, the chin. And Joyce's chin can be cracked. Like when Joshua fought Povetkin, he got tagged quite a bit early. But if we compare Povetkin's punch arsenal and variety to Christian Hammer, Povetkin actually beat Hammer on points. It's two different levels. It's two different levels. I'm not saying he necessarily beats Joyce, but he has a very good fucking chance. Very good chance of doing a lot of damage to Joyce because he's there. Joyce is going to walk onto some of them shots because Joyce is going to be right there for Povetkin's arsenal. Right? That left uppercut that Povetkin landed on Dillian, what? Povetkin can't land that on Joyce? The Usyk Joyce fight, it would be way more one-sided than the AJ fight, and he'd have to basically come from behind and try and use his weight and maul him down in the late rounds and stop him. Can he do that? Now, this is not a crap on Joe Joyce session here. I'm just giving you the reality of who Joe Joyce is. Joe Joyce is a bona fide top 10 heavyweight, but he has limitations like everyone else. And David Price actually has a better punch technique and boxing technique to a degree, or construct, than Joe Joyce. David just can't take a shot. He has no confidence. He gives up on himself, and he's got a lot of other psychological issues going on there. But them same punches that flattened David Price, that Povetkin landed, Joe Joyce is going to have to show us he has the ability to show an iron chin here. See, all the top quality marksmen that Joe Joyce is going to fight, like you said, he'll beat you with his chin and power. So that means when he fights Klitschko, you're going to have to chin out that same right hand that Klitschko landed on Joshua, right? You're going to have to show your chin with the same shots that Povetkin knocked out Pricey with and other heavyweights, right? How sustainable is that? He'll have to have the best chin in the history of the sport to make it work. What? You're going to rely on your chin with AJ throwing bombs on you? Or Tyson Fury? Hergovich? There's lots of guys who can crack. It may be sustainable for him. He may be able to win a belt or two and grind down people with exactly what he said. A superior chin and power. And we'll have to commend him for that. But to me, the likelihood of that being sustainable as a champion, I won't put my money on it. He can win some fights, but he's not going to be able to defend that belt with any regularity against top 5, top 10 opponents. No. 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 Even the Daniel Dubois fight. Yeah, Daniel got beaten, and I picked Joyce to win. But a lot of the rounds were close, and apparently didn't a couple of the judges have Daniel up on the scorecards before Daniel quit. But at the same time, he's a great addition to the heavyweight division. I can't wait to see him get a title shot, start fighting top 5 opponents. The division is moving too slow, way too slow. And if they don't keep Joe busy, his vulnerabilities in defense are just going to accelerate. 14 fights. 14. Since 2017? 5 years? This fast-tracking shit hasn't really worked. In 2018, he had 6 fights. And they were good opponents. Don't get me wrong. I saw a couple live. Guys like Lenroy Thomas, Joe Hanks, Largo Kiladze, they were good fights. But after 2019, we had 3 fights, Berman Stavern, Ustinov, and Jennings, all good fights, especially 2 years into the game. It slowed down, and it's not doing him any good. Like, when fighters are getting into the rankings these days and fighting for British titles, European or Intercontinental, IBF, WBC, lower tier belts, their output in terms of how many fights they're having slows down way too much. 4 fights since 2019 when he fought Bryant Jennings is not helping Joe Joyce. It's not helping him, and he's 36 years of age. But with Tyson Fury calling out the strongman, is he really going to get this shot at Tyson Fury this September? The sooner Joe Joyce gets a title shot, the better for him with the way he fights. The sooner the better, because they're not going to get him the fights like I was saying he needs to be an active heavyweight. No heavyweight in the top 10 is getting that. Like 4 or 5 fights a year, the required amount that would keep them sharp enough that their skills are not regressing. The sooner the better for Joyce. That's all I can say. The sooner even if it's not a world title fight, like a top 10 opponent or something, the sooner the better. The sooner the better. To me, right now, like, all this keep your fighter inactive so he can get a title shot is bull fucking shit. Yeah? Not all top 10 heavyweights are going to get a crack at a world title. You can build your legacy without an immediate title shot. You can still build your legacy, and that's what fighters should be doing, because there's just no guarantee or no system that can guarantee all of you in a top 10 a title shot. That's the truth. So when Joseph Parker, just a few hours ago, was saying, yo, the Joe Joyce showdown can still be made, this is something that should be taken serious, and Frank shouldn't be holding Joyce back to keep him on BT cards if Sky are putting up the bread that he or BT are not capable or willing to put up to make the fight. It's as simple as that. Joe needs to be on the big stage having a big fight. That's how you groom a potential contender. But he's not doing that with Yard. He's not doing that with Joyce. He wants to keep them all back. I want to put them on BT. It's full of fucking shit. While Eddie Hearn, he just signed Alicia Baumgardner. He's going to let her fight on Sky. Get her opportunity to fight Michaela Mayo in a unification on the undercard of Shields and Marshall. And if she wins, Eddie is quids in. He's like, yo, this is brilliant. But Frank is a little too antiquated for that. Oh, I'm not doing that. Why should I fucking do that? And all that bullshit. Old-fashioned, stingy promoting shit. And that's why Joyce is taking shit fights against Christian Hammer right now. And yeah, back when there was less belts, the top heavyweights, top 10, top 15, had no choice but to fight each other regular. Because they knew when it was maybe just a WBC or WBA belt, or maybe just one champion, there might be an NBA title and a NSAC title, but there's just one champion. Yeah, we're not going to get title shots more than likely. A few of us might, but we're not all going to get title shots, so they fought regular. So you got fights like Lyle and Foreman, no title on the line. Ali and Frazier fought with no world title on the line. And even when there was a whole load of belts in the 90s, we got fights like Ruddock versus Tyson twice, no world title on the line. Mercer versus Lewis. Yeah. All this waiting around is bull crap and it's making boxing boring. Such a boring sport. Yo, I could say I would like to see a Martin Bakole Joe Joyce fight, and no, it's never going to happen. So what's the point? I mean, even if you're not going to go there, what about Tony Yoka? He's looking to resurrect his career after losing to Bakole. Why not have a repeat of the Olympic final? Make some interesting fucking matchups, man. These promoters just sit around talking about each other like Joe Mikowski was saying, and all that is fucking boring. I mean, this is the new boxing now. Like, you on Twitter now, like Sam Jones, he manages Joe Joyce, and I think Billy Nelson either trains or has some management capacity with Martin Bakole. Always the same chat with Joe. He's slow, he's rubbish. Nobody has done that to Hammer. Nobody, says Sam Jones. And then Billy Nelson replies, Huey Fury stopped him in 5. You're chatting shite. He was hit with numerous right hands. If that was a top heavy, he gets stopped. Joe is a very good fighter, very strong, but we know how he gets beat. And there's more, but that's not the point right now. This is all we get. Like, this is an easy fight to make. Like, Martin doesn't have a permanent promotional situation. It's an easy fight to make. And it's a good fight, but it's not going to happen. And then you have to ask yourself, why wasn't Martin Bakole in the opposite corner rather than Christian Hammer? Martin didn't take no punishment against Tony Yoka. All he needed was maybe a month more to prepare to get himself ready to fight Joe Joyce. But nah, this is what they're feeding us as the main event. Before anyone tries to conclude my opinion on Joe Joyce, if you don't get him out of there early and that juggernaut starts revving up, he could drown perhaps anyone in the weight class. Championship round finish. He could drown anyone. Once he gets used to taking your blows, and his punches seem to become more accurate as the rounds go along. You know, that horrible right hand, it does improve slightly as the rounds go on. But if anyone can't see there's issues there in the early rounds when he's taking them clean rights and lefts, I don't know what to tell you.